The sun burned low over the endless plains, turning the dry grass into waves of gold and fire. Dust swirled through the air as wind whispered across the land, the kind of whisper that carried secrets. Jed Hollister, a quiet rancher known for his weathered heart and steady hands, was riding home when he heard something strange. A cry, soft but desperate. It cut through the stillness like a broken prayer. He stopped his horse, eyes narrowing toward an old corral by the ridge. There, tied to one of the wooden posts, was a young woman, her wrists bound, her clothes torn from struggle, her face streaked with dust and tears. "Untie me, please," she whispered, her voice trembling. Jed dismounted slowly, unsure if what he was seeing was real. Outlaws often used tricks in those parts. Lure a man in with pity, then rob him blind. But there was something different in her eyes. It wasn't deceit. It was pain, real pain. He approached cautiously. "Who did this to you?" he asked, cutting the rope with his knife. She stumbled forward into his arms, shaking, barely able to stand. I ran," she said. "They were going to sell me. I escaped, but they found me. Please don't let them find me again." Her words hit him hard. Jed had seen enough evil in his time, men who thought money could buy souls. He wrapped his coat around her shoulders. "You're safe now," he said quietly. "Ain't no one taking you again." He helped her onto his horse and rode back to his ranch, keeping his eyes sharp for riders in the distance. The woman said little on the way, only her name, Clara. Her voice trembled every time the wind rustled the grass, as if she feared it might be someone chasing her. When they reached the ranch, Jed built a fire and gave her water. She sat close, staring into the flames, the reflection flickering in her eyes. "You shouldn't have helped me," she said softly. "They'll come for me, and now." "They'll come for you, too." Jed looked up, his weathered face calm but unyielding. "Let 'em come," he said. "I've faced worse men for less reason." That night, as coyotes howled in the distance, Clara finally told her story. She had been working as a singer in a saloon 2 towns over. The owner, a man named Briggs, had promised her a life of comfort, but it was a lie. He and his men had forced her into debts she could never repay, using her voice as bait for profit. When she refused, they tried to sell her off to a passing gang. She fought back and fled into the desert. Jed listened, jaw tight. He'd seen how men like Briggs operated. Powerful, ruthless, hiding behind money and lawless charm. "You did right to run," he said. "Now you rest. Tomorrow I'll ride to town." Clara looked at him in fear. "You can't fight them alone." He met her gaze, his eyes steady as iron. "I ain't planning to fight," he said. "I'm planning to end it." At dawn, Jed saddled his horse and rode into town. Dust rose behind him like smoke. He tied his horse outside Briggs's saloon, stepped inside, and the piano stopped mid-tune. Briggs looked up from his table, smirking. "Well, if it ain't the quiet rancher," he drawled. "What brings you here?" Jed's voice was low and controlled. "You tied a woman to a post out by Dry Creek. You'll never touch her again." Briggs laughed, but it didn't last long. Jed's eyes told him this wasn't a bluff. The room fell silent. "You'd risk your life for a saloon girl?" Briggs sneered. Jed's hand hovered near his gun. "For a person who's been wronged," he said, "I'd risk everything." The draw was fast. The thunder of gunfire filled the air. When the smoke cleared, Briggs lay on the floor, his pistol inches from his lifeless hand. Jed holstered his weapon, turned, and walked out into the sunlight. The townsfolk whispered, some in shock, others in quiet respect. He didn't look back. He had done what he had to do. When he returned to the ranch, Clara ran to meet him. "You shouldn't have gone," she cried. "They'll come after you now." Jed smiled faintly, dust streaking his face. "Let them," he said. "Sometimes justice ain't about peace. It's about what's right." She looked at him for a long moment, then slowly took his hand. "You risked everything for someone you didn't even know," she said. Jed looked out over the land, the horizon glowing in gold. "I did it because no one ever did for me," he answered. In the days that followed, Clara found her voice again, not in fear, but in freedom. She sang while helping mend fences, her laughter echoing across the fields. The ranch that had once felt empty now felt alive. Jed realized something he hadn't in years. Sometimes saving someone else can save you too. And as the sun dipped below the western hills, painting the sky in fire and hope, Jed said quietly to himself, maybe this is what redemption looks like. If this story moved you, if you believe that courage, compassion and second chances still matter, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Every story here carries a piece of the Old West, a reminder that even in the hardest lands, hearts can still heal. Subscribe today and ride with us for more tales of faith, fire, and freedom.